All right. So Golf Clash announced last week during the tournament, I think it was probably on like Thursday or Friday, they announced that they were going to do some club improvements and they're going to buff some of the clubs. And I didn't want to shoot a video on it during the tournament week, just wanted to focus on the tournament. But now that the tournament's over, I wanted to go through all of the and really kind of take a look at it. I briefly, as I went through it, saw a couple clubs that grabbed my interest: the Big Topper, the Rock, the Hammerhead. Those three right there. That's especially the Rock getting that club up. So let's go through and check them out and see how the changes are going to affect the clubs. So looking at Big Topper. So the Big Topper and the way that they're going to work these additions that they're showing on here for all these clubs is they're going to add all of these on at level 1. So the second you get a Big Topper, if you don't have a Big Topper in your bag, the second you get it, it's going to have 10% more accuracy and 0.4 more ball guide from level 1 all the way through its life. So all of these are going to be added on at level 1. So if you have this club in your bag, you're going to get these additions, except for the Grizzly. The Grizzly has been completely reworked, and the numbers that they're showing here are at max level, and I'm not sure where it's going to be at its progression. So at level 8, it'll have all of this stuff on top, but if it's at level 6, I'm not sure where it gets some of these stuff. So we'll have to look and see what the Grizzly looks like at top. But the rest of these, if you have this club in your bag, you're going to get this bonus. So with the Big Topper, we got a 10% accuracy and 0.4 ball guide. So when you're at level 1 with 0 accuracy, now you're going to be at 2.8 per ring instead of 3.0. That's not, for these first couple levels down here, that's not a huge deal. But if you're using your Big Topper, it will help. You're not going to notice this as a significant difference. When you get it to level 6 and level 7, that's when you're really going to see it, when it gets towards its upper, where now it's hitting 51 with that extra accuracy. So now you're at a 2.0 per ring. So basically it's the same as your extra mile. Your extra mile hits 2.1. Here we're going to be in that same type of range. We're at 2.0. So if you can get it done with your extra mile, you'll have a better shot at getting it done with your Big Topper. Even when you have it at level 5 and it's at the 24 accuracy, getting it up to 34 accuracy, it will help. The ball guide, especially when you get it up here to the 2.7 when you're at 5th level, where it can pull that over to 3 so that you can really get a better look at it. I don't find myself trying to hit the Big Topper to get into a lot of greens. Usually you're trying to get more distance out there in the fairway, and the ball guide's not super important, but these are good upgrades for this club with the 10 accuracy and the 4 ball guide, especially as you start to develop it more. So when you get it up to level 5 and level 6, it's really gonna, those adjustments, those new buffs are gonna really add on. Okay, with the Rock, we're getting 5 yards with the Rock, and at level 1 now it's going to have 215. So let's compare that with the quarterback. So the quarterback's not going to get 215 until it gets to level 7 and 8. So we're getting some of that distance back. Typically when the Rock gets into mid-level, where it's in that level 4, level 5, by that point, because the quarterback is a common card, you're going to get it up in levels pretty fast. So it'll be up towards level 8 or 9. And if you've got your quarterback to level, let's say you've got your quarterback to level 9 at 218 yards versus a level 4, level 5 Rock, we're talking the same distance. So at that point in a quarterback's life, it's 100% accurate versus 86. It's got, 41 topspin versus 10. So it's still in lower levels. There may be times where the Rock becomes interchangeable, but at lower levels, the way that it works right now, until you can get it to max, there's a time period where there's some shots that the Rock will work better on, especially when you can get it to level 6 and it's got the 221. But with this 5 extra yards, the Rock is going to become a much more viable club in these midterms, like when it's at level 4, 5, and 6, possibly even level 3, where it can keep up with the quarterback. But when it gets maxed out, This is a club that, for me personally, I worked really hard to get my my rock maxed out, and I just maxed it out in my 77 count here just in the last couple months. Because when it gets maxed out, if you look at these numbers, a QB maxed hits 218, and a extra mile max hits what, 236. And so at 226, we're right dead center in the middle of it. So there's a lot of times when you bring out your QB, you're looking for that accuracy, you're doing that layup shot. And the QB is a better choice than the extra mile. But there's some shots where it's like, man, I really want to use my QB, but in order to get the distance that I need to get, I have to use my extra mile. Now you're going to be able to use this rock. And being able to come out with a club that hits 231 that has 100% accuracy versus a 236 that has 45 accuracy, the rock is going to be a very usable club in your bag. So if we compare it to the extra mile, which is really what I'm comparing it to at the 231, if we look at the extra mile up here, when it's maxed out, 236, 45, 67 topspin. And when the rock is maxed out, we're at 147 topspin. So the topspin is really the only number here. We've got good backspin, awesome curl, great ball guide. So we're lacking a little bit of topspin based on what we get in the extra mile. But as far as, we're losing 20 topspin, but the accuracy alone, the 45 and the curl, like there's a lot of times with an extra mile, one of the things you're missing is curl, and you have every curl opportunity in the world with that rock. Your extra mile hitting 48 backspin, and your rock, when it's maxed out, hitting 59. I mean, the rock is now, with that 5 yards, is a viable club that you could play pretty much every hole with. And you're coming in with a 100% accurate club. I mean, I'm totally excited about the rock improvement. I mean, 5 extra yards, that's big on that club. Let's go to woods. So in the wood category, they're upgrading the Horizon, and they're giving it 0.7 ball guide, or excuse me, 0.6 ball guide. And the Horizon, in my mind, fits that. It's the same type of niche that you get with a big topper. So a big topper, you're losing a little bit of distance, but you got 100 topspin. So a lot of times, like if you take a big topper versus an extra mile with a Titan, and you hit the ball straight forward, you can get more distance with the big topper than you can with the extra mile, even though it hits a lot less because of that 100 topspin. So this number right here is the, if you're playing from the back tees, and there's times when you get up there and it's the big dog or the Cataclysm's just not giving you enough distance, at 178 in power versus the 180 that you get with a big dog, when you're talking about getting your Horizon maxed out, even when you get it to level 6, even at level 5 at 173 and level 4 at 173, it's still a viable club with that much topspin. I'm not exactly sure how much the ball guide is going to help, just giving it that, getting it up there to the 4.5. It will help out a little bit when we're trying to bring those shots in, if we're using it as the long wood in our bag. But any buff that you give something, I mean, it will help. But the Horizon's not going to come back into its own until you start getting it up with that accuracy, until you start getting it up to maxed club. So I'm not sure how much more that's going to make it so that we'll use it when it's in upper developed, but in lower developed, it could help us. Hammerhead. This has got to be, in my mind, one of the slowest developing epics, and it's a Tour 5 club. I mean, you'd think that we would get that we could develop it, but it seems like the Hammerhead is just one of those very slow developing clubs. And when you get it maxed out, the deal is it's arguably, it could be argued which way you're going to go with the Sniper or the Hammerhead. And they added on plus 10 backspin. So it'll be an 80 backspin when it's maxed out. So if we compare it to our QB, or our Sniper actually, so we're at 172 distance versus 175. So we got it with a Hammerhead, 100% accurate, 79 topspin. With a Sniper, we're looking at 68, so we got more in the Hammerhead. We're now looking at 80 backspin versus 73 for the sniper, so we're going to be better off in backspin. We're looking for 98 curl, which is better. So it's going to be, that's going to make it the clear choice once you get it maxed out. It's going to be a clear choice over the sniper. As it's going up, right off the bat, it's going to have 31 backspin or 30 backspin and then 41. So it is going to help it as it goes up the scale, getting that backspin. So you're not going to have to wait to level 6 to get it up into that very usable range. It's going to start getting some stuff, and we'll use this club at lower levels when we first start playing, and we'll play with it for a while, and then we'll finally get our sniper so that it's developed. And I think this is going to make it at the beginning of the game so that we can play with the hammerhead a little more often. And then when we do get it back up in levels, it's going to become the clear choice as one of our leading woods in our bag, especially for our accurate wood, which is kind of cool because that just gives us a little bit of option there. But the hammerhead grows so slow. It'll take forever to get it up to the max level. Let's check out long irons here. Let's see what changes they made. So the first one was to the Grim Reaper, and they're adding on 10 yards and 0.4 ball guide. So when it gets maxed out, it's going to have 3.8, and they're adding on 10 yards, so it's going to be 226 for long irons. When we look at long irons, that's going to put it in our backbone range, backbone Saturn, that mid club. Looking at the B52 and the Goliath as the big hitters in the category at 135. So we're picking up at 116. That number is not, you can't hit that number. So picking up 10 right off the bat and being at 125. Especially lower levels, it's going to be a pretty good hitting club. Our B52 and our Goliath, the Grizzly we'll have to look at because they're totally reworking it. I'm not sure how much this will make this club. I think when you first get it, it might make it a little bit more usable. We're still not having any topspin, and the accuracy on it blows. I'm still, there's better stuff as far as accuracy goes, but as this club gets up, it is better when it's up at the top, especially when it gets around. It starts to get that accuracy at level 4. When it gets to that 60 accuracy, that extra 10 yards and that extra ball guide will make this club a little bit more usable when it gets to level 4. And the deal is we'll have to see how these changes make when we actually see it on the club. Now the Grizzly, they've completely reworked. So let's go down to the Grizzly here. So at max, the Grizzly is going to have plus 10 accuracy. So it's going to be 100% accurate club. And in the long iron range, that excites me, because with the backbone hitting 92 accurate, having a club that we can go in and get that's 100% accurate. I know our B52 gets there when it finally gets maxed out, but now the Grizzly's going to get at 100% accuracy at level 5. So that's definitely going to be a choice that we can put in our bag. Distance wise, we're right the same thing as a Saturn, but now we've got a 100% accurate club. And we look at 28 topspin. So pretty much from the word go, because it's got 18 topspin all the way around. So we're going from 18, 28, 38, 46 topspin across the board there. That's going to be a pretty significant, that is significant. That definitely helps that out. We're going to get plus 9 backspin. So for most of its life, it's got 36. So we're looking at 45 backspin. That's pretty decent for most of the shots that you're going to take, unless you're on a hole that needs like a Saturn. Most of the holes only require 1, maybe 2 backspin in order to get it in there. So we should be fine on that. You're going to add on 38 curl. So when we look at level 4 as being kind of a benchmark level, we're going to add on 38 curl. So that means that it's going to be 100% curl club. And we're going to add on 0.8 ball guide, so it's going to be 3.8. So even just at level 4, these are huge. If we look at even level 3, so if we add on 10% accuracy, we're at 83 accuracy at level 3. And 28 topspin, 28, 38, 46, get topspin. So this club's going to could be potentially extremely usable right from the get-go. But when you get to level 5, you're at 100% accurate now. I'm seeing this club taking my backbone spot, and I don't know that the backbone's going to be in there if I've got access to a 100% accurate club. I mean, think about your accurate bag. You've got a quarterback or a rock, you got a sniper, you put a grizzly in there. The first 3 clubs in your bag are 100% accurate. That's awesome. This club right here could be the club that all of a sudden it went from 0 to hero. But definitely, I wasn't really focused on getting my Grizzly maxed out, so I'm still like 150, 250 cards short of maxing my Grizzly out. But it looks like now, when you're at the top, this is definitely going to be a club. 100% accurate at the top, 28. Man, this is going to be a pretty decent club. Now, a club that we're all going to want to use. All right, short irons. Let's go check out short irons and see what they're doing on short irons. So the one on here, and I use the Kingfisher in my lower level account because of its accuracy. This top spin kills this club until it gets to level 5. And of course, it's an epic, so it's going to take forever to get it to level 5 when you first start playing. But when you first start playing and you get it to level 3, which it will get to level 3 pretty quick, at 83 accurate, this, for me, with my low level account, because I'm not playing anything above Tour 4, as far as accuracy goes with my short iron, this is the club. That 83, and I've got it to the level 4, so I've got that 88 accuracy. That is big time. And they're going to add on 5 yards, which is a huge deal on this club, because at 75 yards, what I find sometimes is that it doesn't have any topspin, so I can't quite get to where I need to get. And if you look at where most of its competition sits when it's in that mid-level stuff, in the 4, 5, 6 level, we're at 85 here, and we're in the 80s with the Hornet. So those two being there, and then here with the Claw, it starts off a little low, and then it makes that in that mid club, it gets into the 80 range. The 75 on the Kingfisher is a killer. And picking up 5 yards right off the bat and getting to 80, that's going to make, in my low level account where I use this club, that is huge. Because I find myself having to use the runner sometimes because I'm just right out of the range where I need a little bit of topspin, and I don't have I'm getting hurt in distance, and I don't have any topspin in this Kingfisher. So we got 5 yards, and now we got plus 15 topspin. So right from the get-go, this club has completely changed in my lower level account, and I don't think I'll have to move off of my Kingfisher anymore. I'll be able to stay there and use it as my accurate short iron until I can get if I can get a Hornet, if I do decide to go up and play higher tours. Also gets plus 10 backspin, which for me is not as big a deal because I don't use it that much as the backspin. I'm not trying to use it as like a Thorn or a Claw, but backspin never hurts. So we look at level 4 is a good spot. You're getting ball guide and accuracy. You're getting up to that 88 accuracy. So this is going to make this club a lot more, in my opinion, especially when you first start playing. You get this Kingfisher, and this can become a very viable club that you're going to use in your bag until you can develop your Thorn or your Hornet or one of those clubs. The Falcon. Let's go down and check the Falcon out. So the Falcon, they're going to give plus 5 accuracy and 0.3 ball guide. So if we look at it at max, that plus 5 accuracy, we're getting up to 80 now. And then so if we're looking at the lower level, we're already at a 3 ball guide at level 1 when you get it. And that accuracy is putting it at a 50 accuracy club. You don't get this until late. So by the time you get this, you've got other stuff that's much more developed to use. So the Falcon is still going to be one of those clubs that you're probably not going to use it until you get this up higher in levels. Even with these additions where you've got better accuracy, and this is one of those clubs that's more towards the when you get it to level 6 or 7 where you may decide to start using it. And it'll take a long time to get those Tour 7 epics built up. So when we look at wedges, and there's definitely some of these wedges that are not some of the most used clubs in the game. So the first wedge that they made an adjustment to is the Boomerang. And the Boomerang, they added 45 accuracy. So at level 1 down here where it has 0 accuracy, now it has 45. That means at the top where it has 41, and now it's 96. So this club is definitely going to get more accurate. Arguably the worst club in the game. Not the worst wedge, the worst club. So if you're thinking about using this club, save yourself some agony and don't. Well, let's see if these changes make a difference. So we got 45 accuracy right off the top, and we got 20 topspin. And we're in our wedge range. And I usually don't find myself having, if I'm in the spot where I'm using topspin, I really would like lots of topspin. That's why I use the Firefly or the Rapier, so that you've got enough that you can flatten it out and really run it out there. As this club goes up in level, that 20 backspin or that 20 topspin, when it gets to level 4 and you got that 57, now we're starting to talk some. Now we're starting to talk where the topspin's really helping it out. Plus 3 ball guide. So at level 4, this is a good level for it in its lifespan. It's going to get up to 3 ball guide. So just starting off though, it's going to start off with 45 accuracy, so it's going to be 2.1 per ring. We're going to pick up some ball guide, so we're going to have over 2. Have a little bit of ball guide on it. And then we're going to start off with 30 topspin instead of 20. So like where it fits in your bag when it first starts off, I think it may have a spot, especially in lower when you're coming up. But I think when it gets to the top of the scale up here for your wedge, it's still not going to be the wedge of choice in your bag, but it may be more usable as you go up the scales. The other one on here that I do use, and I used as soon as I get a Firefly, I start using it, and I'm using it for that 72 topspin. It's not a very accurate club, but the topspin allows you to do that bump and run from the fringe, where you can scoot across and wind's not a factor. And they're going to add on plus 9 accuracy. You're going to make it a 39 accurate club and plus 10 backspin. So getting that little teeny bit of backspin on there, and I'm not sure. The accuracy with the Firefly, one of the things about it is it's a poor man's rapier. And one of the things about it is that it's not nearly as accurate as a rapier. So when you're up close, it's not as big a deal. But when you're back over there and you're in like mid wedge or max wedge, and you've got to start using the wind rings to make the adjustment, I'm at 2.2. So I've got mine at like level 4 or level 5 right there at that level 4 level. So it's at 2.2 per ring. And with plus 9 accuracy, you get at that point. So we're at 40, we're at 49. So we're getting towards the 2.0, maybe 2.1 per ring. And that little bit of backspin at that point. The accuracy will help, but that's not, I think the deal is that I used this club when I first got it because of the topspin. And I think a lot of people don't use it for the topspin, and maybe they're not using it because of the accuracy. But I think the club works pretty good, so any improvement that we get on it is definitely going to be an improvement. But as soon as you get a rapier, you're still going to want to switch from the Firefly. I don't think the Firefly is going to. When you get it maxed out, you could go back and relook at it and see if it's now become the club. Because when it's maxed out, it's going to be at 60 or 70 accuracy, a pure number. And then we're going to have another 10% backspin. But at that point, you're still looking at it for a topspin club. Let's see, 38 power versus a rapier's power. Let's see what the power is. 38. The power's still pretty good. So those will help, especially when it's lower. All right, rough irons. Let's see what they did with rough irons. So Jungleist. Definitely never use that club. The Jungleist. While the Jungleist has plenty of extra distance, the accuracy give you pause since you can quickly end up in the rough for your next shot. Two, if you don't be careful. Chances are that by the time you unlock this club, your rough cutter will already be a few levels up and a better option. So let's see if this changes. So we're automatically, right off the bat, going to get 10% accuracy. 35 topspin. It's 40, 50, 60. And then 0.6 ball guide, so we're going up to 2. So we look at the Jungleist versus the rough cutter. You know, by the time you get this, you'll probably be up to level 3 or 4. So we've got more power. Accuracy is going to be 20, so we're still way behind in accuracy. Top spin at 35. That is a big deal. But the power is the one. So maybe able to start using this right off the bat. Let's see what the other ones look like as far as distance goes. Once you get the off-roader, you're in the same kind of distance range. Accuracy at 40. So we're going to still be, it'll be curious to see how this looks actually in our bag, like what those changes look like. Because I'm not sure whether or not they could make enough changes unless they rework this club to make this a club that we would actually choose. But I'll have to see how it looks when it's actually in the bag, because right here it's still not looking like it's going to take the spot of anything. Off-road or +5 backspin. And 0.2 ball guide. Once again, I think this is another one of those clubs that as you get it up or developed, it may become a viable option, but I don't think that the +5 backspin and the 0.2 ball guide are going to entice people to use this club anymore at the lower level. The Amazon, giving it +5 accuracy. Now the Amazon is the thing about the Amazon is, look at the backspin on it. So even when it's at level 3 at the 79 backspin, with backspin, you don't need a lot of ball guide. So if you can get up to the hole where you can engage the backspin, the ball guide, you're recovering with this club. You didn't come out there with the intent of, hey man, I'm going to get in my Amazon range and I got a great shot from there. You ended up with your Amazon because you ended up in the rough and you're recovering. And so if you're recovering and you're doing backspin, the ball guide's not as big a factor because you can get up on the green, put on maximum backspin, give yourself a little bit of room, get up there, get your putt, move on to the shootout. So with the accuracy of +5, that will be a little bit better. But you're either going to use this club because you're in one of those spots where you think if you get caught in the rough, you need that distance and you need backspin, or you're not going to use this club. And I don't think that +5 accuracy is going to entice people to start using it more. But when it gets at upper level, now we've got a 92% accurate club, so any accuracy will help. Sand wedges. I did an upgrade here on the Houdini. Sorry, what was I thinking? Sand wedge. So the first one that they did was Castaway. So the Castaway, they've added a bunch of stuff. 20% accuracy. So that means when we get this club, we're going to start off at 25. And we're also going to get a 20% boost in backspin. So it's going to have 55 backspin right off the bat. And it's going to get 0.5 ball guide. So it's going to have 2 ball guide to start off with. So when we first get this club, still with 84, let's see what kind of distance we have here. 84 with Malibu. Malibu's deal is it's a really accurate club, but it has no topspin or backspin for the first few levels, so you're not getting a lot of help. If it doesn't work where it's sitting, it's not going to work. So +20 accuracy to start off with at 25. That is a little better, but that Castaway is not going to start to shine and really show these improvements until it starts getting up in level. But it will make a difference right from the get-go. So when you first get it, it could be a viable option. Now let's see, when you get it to max level, we're at 108. You're probably still going to want to use your Spitfire at that point just for distance. So they're going to do 1.8, and we're going to be 46 accurate. We're going to be 91 backspin. So this could potentially usurp your Houdini as far as if you're in one of those tournaments where you need a backspin sand wedge. Now the Houdini, they added on 10% accuracy. Once again, this is your 100% backspin sand wedge. So if you can get this up to adding on 10% accuracy on the Houdini, so once you get it to level 4, you're at 100%. Or excuse me, I was looking at distance. So we're going to get some accuracy when we start off. When you get this up in level, it'll, especially when you get to like level 5, now you're kind of that mid-range. It's not a bad deal. One of my teammates, Kyle, and I were talking about when you're pulling out clubs, if you're playing in higher tours, you know, bringing your accurate stuff when you're in lower tours, but when you start getting in tours where you're dealing with 10, 12, 15 mile an hour winds every hole, that it can be hard to move those one accuracy ones. So if you're playing in upper tours, bringing in a set of clubs that are all 2 per ring, you know, your extra mile, Big Dog, when it gets developed, you know, it's 2.1 right there. So those clubs, so that when you're making those wind adjustments, you can do it within one ring set, or you can overpull. So it's 10, it's 2 per ring, so it's 10, and then you need to go a ring and a half past it. You can do it in one movement instead of having to double pull. So if we're getting into that accuracy here, you know, it could take that. It has a spot already, but I'm not sure that just adding on 10% accuracy is going to make this club any more usable in our bag. It looks like the last one they changed here was the Sahara. Where is the Sahara? I don't think I've ever used this club. So they're going to add on plus 40 topspin. So when it gets maxed out, or when it gets to level 5, it's going to have 100% topspin. So this is going to be that. This is going to be a similar club to your Rapier where you're trying to run it in. And one of the things I like about the Spitfire is it has a lot of topspin right from the get-go. So you can use, if you're really close up to the green, you can use your Spitfire exactly like you would your Rapier. You can stretch that topspin out and really make the ring set super small so the club becomes extremely accurate. So with the Sahara, they're just adding on that topspin. Everything else is going to stay the same. When it gets maxed out up here, distance-wise, it's got pretty good distance. So if we look at our Spitfire, we're at 120. And we look at our Sahara, we're in that 120 range. Accuracy at 57. Topspin is going to be 100 now. So it could, when it gets to maxed out, it could be a viable choice in the bag. So with the topspin being at 100, now we're looking at what we're looking at with our Spitfire. We're 120, 100% topspin, that 4.4 ball guide. Yeah, it could. So when it gets maxed out or it gets up towards there, it could be a viable option now. All right, those look like the, and they state on here that these stat improvements apply across all levels of a club. The Grizzly is the exception to this, which has undergone a more specific rework. And all of these improvements are subject to change, and we'll be watching how they perform as everyone adapts to them. All right, so there are some club changes that we're going to make. For my money, the ones that I think are the biggest is that 5 yards to the rock. I mean, that is huge, because now when we talk about clubs that are maxed out, and we're in the 230 range, you know, we're looking at the Extra Mile, the Rock, the Thor's Hammer. We're in the same range as the Thor's Hammer here at 232. I mean, we're at 231. And if you look at all the reasons why you like a Thor's Hammer, why when a Thor's Hammer gets to Tour 5 or Level 5, why it becomes such a great club, is we're in that distance range at 232. pretty decent accuracy for a driver. Great topspin, so you can stretch it out there, and good ball guide, good backspin, really good backspin. We look at the rock here. The only thing lacking when you get it up there from it is the backspin. So we're now in the same distance. We're more accurate. 98 topspin versus 47. So, I mean, this becomes a club here when we talk about Apocalypse, Thor's Hammer, the Rock, and the Extra Mile. I mean, it becomes a very usable, very viable driver. I think that distance was awesome for it. And I also like the change on the Big Topper. Any change we use to a club that we're already using on a regular basis, the Big Topper, anything we can add to it, hey, let's add it on there. But for me, those are the two big ones. And the Kingfisher, if you're lower developed, I think that Kingfisher is going to be able to stay in your back for a long time now, with the addition of the topspin, because that was really, that little bit of power in the topspin was a weakness on it that now I won't have to switch out clubs for them. All right. That was a little bit about the club upgrades that they're going to do, the buffs that they're going to put on them, and that starts on the 21st. So what do we got here? Where are we? We're on the 18th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So this coming up Thursday, they're going to add those on there. So hopefully everybody will be able to use at least one of those clubs. All right. Thanks for watching.